Welcome devs to my channel. If you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe to my channel and leave some likes and some comments. Today I'll be doing the password generator app. It's a premium challenge, latest for the month of August, that was released in August. So please follow code alongside me as we complete this challenge. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. Subscribe to my channel and leave some comments and some likes. I already have here a template or a starter pack, should I call it, from that we are going to use to complete this challenge. I'll do a bit of explanation so that we know where we are, but mainly importantly, let me go on to line 14. This is line 14. You can see from line 14 I've linked up to my style sheet inside the file CSS and inside the folder CSS and inside a file called style CSS. Then on line 15 you can see I've linked up to my file called main.js. This is where you're going to be doing a JavaScript. But remember, if you have written a script code link to a JavaScript inside the head section, you need to use a defer so that your code so that your JavaScript can be processed correctly. Then on line 7 I've already done some importation of font style that we are going to use. Then on line 18 is again a link to our fonts. Then on line 19 I've done a link to the font style JetBrains. So now let me get a bit into our style CSS file. There you can see our CSS file. I've done some default styling like box sizing rules, removing the default margin and removing list styles, and also I've set the core root defaults, and also I've set the core body defaults, as well as I've made the on 945 I've made the images easier to work with. On line 52 I've inherited fonts, and then on line 60 I've removed all animations. So this, and then most importantly, you need to know on line 74 I've using my style guide file provided by Frontend Mentor. I've linked up to some common color codes that we are going to be using, as well as some spacing that we are going to be using. So without wasting time, devs, let me get on to start the challenge. To link up everything, I'm going to start off by creating a main. In this project, we are going to be using Sass to make our coding simpler and styling easier. So for me to do that, I need to start with the main. Let me call it main grid. Then I'm going to put another class name. I'll call this one grid container. By looking at the design of the code, you can see that I'm going to have a top header there, So let's save and a button. So to do that, let me get inside my styling. Let me start creating a top header. I'll have to call it h1, then give it a class name. I'm going to call it color light. Remember, we are using Sass, so we are just defining the color to be light of our h1 tags. Name, font size, I want it to be medium. Then text align to the center. Then let's have the text there. I'll just go to the password generator. Now let's go and open another div. I want to display flex. Then let's see direction. I want it to be row. Then the background color, I want it to be light. Then padding left, let's set it to medium. Style, like I said, we're going to be using our defaults, but for this style I'm going to set, let me declare another new variable. I'll call it gap, and let's set it to 0.5 frames. After this one, I've displayed a div inside. I'm going to set a paragraph text. Let me give it a class of output. Okay, I want to give the paragraph as well a font size of large. Then let me have a button. I want to give it a class name of copy btn. Now let's have another class name button, and I want to set a data type. Of everything to copy. This is what will appear when I'm setting up the text that will appear every time when we generate the password. So there's going to be a button there. After the button displays, I also want a span. I'll call it, let's set it to visually hidden. SVG, let's give it a class of icon. And let's give a height of 24. Okay, but inside that I'm going to have an image that I need an image to be displayed, so I'm going to use an image there. Let's put a link to the image that we want to use. Where is our link for the image? href. Let's save it image inside the images folder. Price file .svg. hash. This is the link that we're going to remember. This is the details that will appear when you click on generate password. These are the details that we have. So we have done that. This is the div section that will appear when you click on the button or on the generate button. But now I'm going down to the most important default information that will appear every time when you log in. So I'm going to create another div. I will display it in grid format. Then let's have a background color of light, and let's have a padding of medium. Then if you look at the design, we've got the text written character length, and then we've got all these details that are written in below. So I'm going to start off with a div for the character length. The div for the character length. So let's play display flex. We want the div to be displayed in a flex format. Flex direction, I want to set it to row. Then line height, I want to set it to 1. So inside that we are going to have a label. Let's give it length range. So for the text, I'm just going to set character length just as it is provided on the design. Now let's have a paragraph for the output. So I just have to call it length. I'm giving it a class name, display. Now let's separate and put in some styling. Color, I want it to be green. Then font size, I want it to be large. And let's put just say temporarily text this is what will appear. Let's have a look at the design inside our style file. Inside Lifesaver, there you can see what we now have. Okay, so now that we are done with this one, now I want to have a styling for the in. You can see from our styling we've got some checkbox and some inputs that we are going to have in. So that's what I'm going to do next. So to do that, I need to just say div. Let's create another class name. Let's give it range. This will input the details, the length of our input. Okay, importantly, I want to let me type. Let's say range. This is a range. This is where we are going to import the range. Name. Let me set it to length. Then ID. Let's set it to length range. minimum input, I'll set it to 4, and maximum input, I'll set it to 16. Then the initial value will be 10, 10. Okay, so we're done with that, but I also want to have another div for the bar. So to do this div, I just have to say div dot range underscore bar. Now that we're done with the input character, now that we're done with the character length, we're now going to go into those checkboxes that you can see here with the options to include uppercase, lowercase, include numbers and symbols. So for me to do that, I'm just going to do it outside this div. Let's have a div, and I'll call it class. Okay, let me display it gridway. Then let's set line height to 1. Okay. Let me give it line height to 1. And let me also have some styling. What I want to declare is a new variable. I'll call it gap, and I'll give it some particular properties. Let's have a look inside our style. I want to give it these properties: spacing small, now we're done with that. Now let's go inside our input fields. I want to have a label. Let's have a label, or I can remove some spacing there just to make my code look nice. Yeah, there we are. Now it looks smart. Okay, let's start here. Label. Let's give it a class name, styling checkbox. Level. This one I'll call it for uppercase. Okay, I usually prefer to write the initial. Yeah, I prefer initial. Now we are going to have some input. Type checkbox. This one is a checkbox. Then I also want a name. I'll call it uppercase. then an ID. Let's give it an ID uppercase. And let's set it to checked by default. Below, let's add a span. I have to give it a class name. This one is span checkbox underscore box. Now let's just say include uppercase letters. Okay, let's have a look at how the design looks in our coding. There you can see what we have done here. There you can see the design. There you can see. So we now also need to include the inputs there. There are 4 of them, so I need to copy and paste. For me to do that, I'm just going to copy and paste everything. So let's copy from line 66 to line 70. Copy everything. 2, 3, 4. There it is. Now we just need to replace the inputs for lowercase. Input type checkbox, name lowercase. Just copy this one and replace it there. ID also just put it something there and replace it there. Now we also need to improve the text. Done with that one. We also want to go for include numbers. So I just need to place the text there to numbers. Then let's replace this one ID numbers. Then let's replace the text to numbers. Now the last one is for symbols. Let's replace this one, copy this one, name symbols ID symbols, symbols there. We are done with that. Let's have a look at the progress that we have made from our project. There you can see sorry, there you can see that the design now looks like this. Now we just need to check the design. I need to create the coordinates for this one for the written strength as well as the button for generate. So I'm going to do it. Right underneath there, let's create another new div. call it flex. Flex 0. Then padding. Block. Small. Then padding line. Medium. Then background color dark. Okay. Let's also add another style, another name, uppercase. Then line height 1. You want the text to be uppercase. So you've done that. That's it. You can see that I've done a lot of styling. So I now need a paragraph. So I need to use p tags. Let me start off by saying color to light. Let's set the color to light. Paragraph styling. Then I'm going to have the text that will be displayed. I'll call it strength. Div. I'll call it flex. Flex row, display row. When you're done with that, with this one, okay, I want my code to look smarter, so I just have to like put it a bit inner here, like this one. So we come here. I need some span. I'm going to use some spans. Then I'm going to give it a class name of strength. Medium. So let's say then data value, we're going to give it 3. Then I'm going to use a span. Let's have a span class name of scale bar. This is the one that we are going to have. Remember, it's for the strength. It should. I'm going to put some bars, so I'm just going to say control copy. I'm going to use 3 bars. So I'm just going to put. Let's make it 4 bars. These are the bars, like you can see on the design. There are some bars there. Okay, let's remove too much spacing there. Now that we are done there, I'm now going to create a button. Like as you know from the button, we've got a button. I'll call it generate btn, generate btn. Then most importantly, I'm going to give it another class name of button. So Now let's set a data type of action. Every time when click, then we need some text there. This is the text that's going to be displayed. Now before importantly I go there, I can see that I need an image as well. So we're going to have span, and we give it a class name of icon. I want to style the span. We give it a width of 12, then height of exactly again 12. Now let me link up the span to an image. I have to use X-link. This is where we refer to the image that is going to be used. Images last price .svg. Let's have a look at how the design now looks like. There you can see we've got the design. Don't worry about the span, the bars that we're showing. They would surely come out okay when as soon as we start styling. So the next stage is going to be styling. Like I've already explained from the design, these are some default styles that I've done, that I've listed there, from line 1 up to line 87. Now I'm going to do the real styling. That is very important. Let's start off by the styling the body. Let's have a font family of, you can obtain our font family from the HTML file. There you got the font family. Just copy it, this one. Just paste the font family and style. Just say mono, yes, that one. Now let's save a background color. Okay, I'm going to be using those values that I've obtained from using the style guide. Then the color of the text, then as well as font size, I'm going to edit this one. Zero comma 0.75 plus 1 plus 1,125. Now let me set the focus visible. let's save the outline to 2 pixels dashed white. Outline effect, let's set it to 2 pixels. Now we are going to style the button. I'm going to have a background color. Okay, I'm going to set it as BG, background color. Let's set it to transparent. And as well as I want a border color. Variable, let's get a border color. This one that we declared there. Just going to paste it inside. Let me have a look at the design now, how it looks like. They can see the design is taking shape. Let me also declare what will be another new variable color. Let's define the color of the text. Color of the text, I want it to be gray 800, this one. Or you can just put in some spacing so that the code looks perfect. Then I also want, every time when I hover, I want a cursor to be present. Okay, then display inline flex. Then align items to the center. Justify the content to the center. I want a gap to be a gap of 1,5 frames. As well as I want the background color. Of variable and that's background color. Border, you want it to be 2 pixels solid. Variable, border color. Then I'm also going to set the color to this declared variable of color. Then text transform to uppercase. I want to set the padding to 1,125 frames. Let's have a look at how the designer looks like. You can see it's taking shape. Now let's tag the image using the button. Let's target the SVG, the image. Let's just say pointer events to, I'll set it to none. Let's have a look at. You can see now I want to continue styling. Now I'm going to target the button again using the data type equal to copy. Let's set the position to relative, and let's have the color. I'm creating another new link. Color out. It's not it. Color. I have to set it to variable. Let's have a green color. Let's obtain it this one. This is the color that I want. Width, I'm going to give it 5 frames. Then aspect ratio, I'm going to set it to 1. Now I'm going to start this one on over. Color. Yeah, this is the background. I'm just giving it a link so that this color code can match up. So I wanted to declare a new one. The color that I've declared, I've linked up these HSL codes to the variable minus background color. So this is, I'm going to refer to it as I go onto my styling. Now let's save a new one for the border color. Let's link it to the color code transparent. Now I want to copy this one for active state. We want to have this one for active state. We are going to be having for active state, we are going to set the BG color to transparent. Then I'm also going to set the color to green. So let's just declare a new variable and let's call it green. This one. If I link it there, yeah, I've done it. It's done. Now I want to set this one for active as well as before. Let's copy. Before. Now let's have the position to absolute. As well as contents. I'll say copied. Then let's set the top to 50%. Again, left minus 70%. And I want to transform it along the y-axis. So I say transform, translate y-axis. I'll give it minus 50%. Now dot action. We want to have a background color as well for this one, so I say BG color. Let's set it to a variable green. Just copy this one and replace it. Now I also want to have it on hover. Let's set the background color. Okay, the border color, sorry. Let's set the border color to a new variable. I need a border color variable. Okay, let me have where I last did this one. Yeah, there it is. just copy that one and place it inside. There's the color change that is going to appear. Now I also want the color for the text. We're going to use the same one. The color for the text. Yeah, like this one. There's the color for the text and the background color. Okay, let me put some semicolon there. Background color of transparent. Let's have a look at how the design now looks like inside. There you can see the design is taking shape. We will have to continue styling. Now I'm continuing styling. Let me identify what I'm going to style next. I want to style the class range. I'm going to style this one. Let's set the position to relative. I want to have isolation to isolate. Then line height, I'm going to set it to 0. Now I want to go for the range and target the input. Now let's set the type. Let's set the type equals to range. Yeah, like that. Now I'm going to use the cursor. I'm going to put a pointer. Then the width, I want you to cover the whole of the section of the input div. Then I want to have on all browsers, I'm going to set WebKit appearance. Let's set it to none. Then the background color, transparent. Now I want to have a special case. WebKit slider thumb. Then we are going to set the WebKit appearance. Set it to none. and set index. I'm going to give it 2. Width, I'm going to set it to 1,75 frames. Aspect ratio, I'm going to set it to 1. Background color, I want to set it to the gray. Set it to 200. Then importantly, I want to set the border radius to 100. Width, now nextly I want to style something. Let's look at our design. I'm going to style the range bar. Okay, I need a full stop first. Okay, I place a full stop, then paste the class name range bar. Let's set the z index to -1 and also position, I want to set it to absolute. Width, I want to give it 100%. Then height, I want to move it to 8 pixels. Then top 50%. Then I want to have a transform, translate y -50%. Then I want to have pointer effects. Linear gradient to right. Let's save the width and I'll set it to 50%. Var character, I'll set it to -gray 800. That's done. Let's have a look at the design, how it now looks like inside the browser. There you can see some changes have happened there. Now nextly I'm going to start the checkbox. User select, I want to set it to none. Display flex, align items to the center. Then let's have a gap of 1.25 in EM. Then width, I want it to fit the content. That's done. Next, I want to check the inbox input. Type equals to checkbox. Okay, change my error. Position absolute. Opacity, let's set it to 0. Width, let's set it to 0. Height, let's set it to 0. You can see that everything is taking direction. Let's continue styling. Now I'm going to style this checkbox box. Let's copy the class name. Width, I'm going to give it 1.25 rems. Aspect ratio, I'm going to set it to 1. Then I'm going to say border 2 pixel, solid, Farike. What color codes am I going to have? Let's use this border color that we have set, as well as let's add another one. Gray 200. Then I want to have a checkbox on hover. Border color, I want to have it. The border color, I want to set it to, let's set it the color green. Yeah, we set the border color to green. Now we want to set every time when you perform a check operation. So for that, I'm going to use for the input. Type equals to checkbox. For the input, type is equals to checkbox. Every time when you use the mouse to check, when you click there, dot checkbox is checked. Whenever the checkbox is checked, I want the background color to change to green. As well as I want another image to appear. Background image, we shall have URL. Let's give the direction of background images. Inside the folder images, we want this one to appear, icon checked. This is the image that shall appear. So let's set the background repeats, no repeat, and also background position, center, border 0. Now we want to have another input. Let's set the type equals to checkbox. Now we are talking about focus. Visible. The checkbox. Outline 2 pixel. Dashed. White. Outline offset, you want to set it to 2 pixels. Let's have a look at, you can see every time when we check, you can see that it's moving. Don't worry about much. You see the changes that I've applied there. Let's continue styling inside our style CSS. Now I want to style more. Let's style the class name scale. This one. I want to set display to flex. Then I want to have a gap of 0,4375 rems. Height, I'm going to give it 1.75 frames. Now, since you can see by the design of the scale, there are so many spans, so I'm going to style the spans independently. To do that, I have to use scale. Look at the code correctly so that you don't make a mistake. That the value is equals to, let's say, 1 there. Then the nth child, set it to 1. Initial set to 1. I want the color to be different. Let's set the color to red color. I want to set it to red. Right. Like this. This looks perfect. You look at the design. You look at the design there. Now I'm going to replicate everything. Copy this one. Remember there are 4. Now we're going for the second child. I just need to replace the 1 with 2, then replace this one with 3, then this one is the fourth span. Now for the nth child, you just have to say number, that is the minus n plus 2, the nth minus the nth plus 3 minus the nth, then this one also minus the nth plus 4. Then let's change the color codes. I'm going to set it to orange. Then this one, let's change the color code. I'm going to set it to yellow. Then the last one here, I'm going to set it to green. Scale, let's say I want to start the scale bar. This one, you don't have to type so that you minimize the risk of errors by typing the class names. You just have to copy them. Let's have the width of 0.625 frames. Border, let's set it to 2 pixels. Solid, character. I want to set it to transparent. This So let's have a look at the changes that we have applied. There you can see the spans, they have now appeared. So you can see the spans are now visible. I need to continue styling. Okay, now I want to style the class name container. Let me wrap this one that will wrap up everything. We want to style it. This is very important. Let's set the width. I'm going to do some mathematical calculations for the width. Let's set it to minimum. I want 100% less 2 rems. Three 75 rems. Yeah, there you can see we have reduced the width. Margin inline. Auto. Let's take a look at the changes. There you can see it has moved to the right, to the center of the page. Now let me set the padding block. I'm going to use the mathematical calculating. So I'll use a clamp. For rem 8 VW 8 rem. Two rems. Now you can see I moved it right at the center of the page. Now let's start this one as well, the main grid. I want to put a gap using some mathematical calculations. I'll use clamp. 1 rem. Comma 75 rems plus 2 VW, comma 5 rems. Let's take a look at the changes. Yes, I like everything that is going on there. Now I want to put in some more styling. Let's save it. Let's target something new. Let's target the grid as well. For the grid, I'm going to say display grid and let's set a gap. I'm going to use a variable inside. I'm going to use gap, the declared gap. I'm going to use spacing medium. Nextly, I'm going to style flex. This is just supporting everything that we are doing. Let's save display flex, and using a gap of let me have some variables that I use gap. One rim, flex 0, align items to the center, justify content space between, let's have a background color. For this one, I want to specifically target gray 700. Let me look at how the design now looks like. There you can see how the design now looks like. You can see the changes that we are applying. Now nextly, I want to target the dark background color. Okay, I'll create a new class. It's not there, but I can create it. Background, I'll create it dark. This one is the background dark. I want a background color of variable minus gray 800. Let's take a look. There you see it appears. Now let's add on I want to start this one. Let's give it line height equal to 1. Then let's start another one. Okay. Okay. Let's start text center. which means text aligned to the center. Now let's start the next one. I want the style the uppercase. It means text transform to uppercase. Now nextly, let's have a look. You can see now I want to style the color lights. We have to use the color of the text using variable. I'll use gray 400 with font weight of 400. Now let's start the color green. Color of the text is going to be variable green. Now I'm going to also style the which one is more important that is left out. Let's style this font so that everything is not left out. For that one we are going to use font size. Let me clamp it with some calculations. 1 rem 0.5 rems plus 5 VW we are also going to use a mathematical formula similar to that one that we use. Just say clamp, then we put in some calculations there. We are going to set 1.5 rems, 1 rem, okay. Now I want to target the other class name padding. MD, or let's start with padding block. So let's set the padding to variable spacing MD. Now I'm going to also target the padding. Remember, I also want to target padding MD. Let's set the padding inline start. Okay, let's give it a let's connect it to a variable spacing md. Let me look at the changes that I've applied. You can see our design is now looking almost close to perfection. Now let's style padding inline medium. This is going to set padding inline Now I'm starting the last class, which is going to be visually hidden. You can find this. There is the class name that we are copying. Just copy it there. And if you want to avoid typing errors, then so we're going to clip it. First, we're going to clip it. Yes. Then after that, we are going to set the clip path to insert 50%. Then we are going also going to have the height. Let's give it 1 pixel. Overflow hidden. Then position absolute. Then I want to set the white space to none. Okay, not to none, to no rep. Then lastly, let's set the width to 1 pixel. Let me look at the design out now. This design looks now almost perfect. Every time when you click there, it is copied. We can now move it there. So now, for us to do the generation, we now want to go for the JavaScript coding. I'm going to paste the JavaScript code inside. Then I'll explain everything to you. Look, okay, that's good. Now I'll explain everything from line number 2 up to line number 36. From line 2 to line 6, we are declaring a const, and we are a new const that was not there before, and we are collecting the class names as well as the ID numbers from the index file. Like on line 2, we created a const called length range that is going to collect the details on the get element by ID name length range that is found inside our index HTML. Now, this is what happens from line 8. It's a function that we are setting. This is the function that will change here when the type of the passage is either strong or weak or poor or 2 week. Like you can see, there is a switch value. Case 1, it says that 2 week. Case 2, week. Case 3, medium. So this is a function that we use, that will use a switch, and it will either display the text. As on line 9 we have set the text to empty, but it will, as it collects the values, it will set the text either to 2 week or a week or a medium or a strong. Like as you can see, therefore on line 28 we are now setting the strength to dot text content is equals to text, or scale dataset value is equals to value. Remember, we are on line. Now we are moving to line 32. We are now declaring a new function. This is a new function that we use to check. Like as you can see, from line 33 to line 37, we are collecting details that are checked every time when it's checked. And now inside the same function, if our strength, there is an if case. This one is a case which will match up every details, if not user uppercase, if not lowercase, if not lowercase, it will return a 1. Now therefore from line 43 we are now using a mathematical calculation using the if statement. Now from line 59 we are now declaring a new code called checkboxes. This one will collect details from or select all of all checkboxes on line 59. As you can see, now on line 64 we are adding an event listener. That will happen whenever we click the generate button. On line 77, this is the button that this is the JavaScript code for every time when you click through like this, it will declare copy. Then on line 87, this is now the JavaScript code for creating a password. This is the code that we use to create a password from line 87 up to 126. Then line 28, there's a closing function, code function init. This is function that will initialize the app. So let's take a look at the changes that we've applied and how our app is going to look like. As you can see, if I do this and I say, you see my password is written is 2 week, but it generates a password like this. If I do this if case, remember we are using a switch case there, it's generating a password. We violated everything, it's generating another one. Like generating, like let's say if I increase everything, the password will be called strong and it will be generated there. Then this one we just copy the details. So our app is now complete. Thank you very much.